Now I'm gonna take a second to waterboard you with nostalgia. If you were around the good old days of 2016, or really any of the days around that, you might recognize a company that goes by the name of Roosterteeth. If you don't recognize the name, don't worry, I'm gonna give you a lore breakdown. Roosterteeth is basically an online media production company. They make a ton of content online, anything from gaming to actual real animated fleshed out shows. It's really cool. If you don't recognize Roosterteeth, but you were alive back then, which is crazy to say, you might remember a web series called Red vs. Blue, or even Ruby, for example. These were both web series that were made by Roosterteeth, and they were really the company's heavy hitters. So during the mid 2000s, like say 2014 to all the way up to COVID, before COVID, Roosterteeth was at its absolute peak. They were insanely popular. In fact, I used to watch them all the time, to be honest. Like Achievement Hunter, they were my shit, man. I could probably credit them for raising me as a child. Now, the reason I'm talking about these guys today is because the other day I had an urge to go and check out their content because I haven't done that in a while. I mean, like I said, they raised me as a child. I wanted to see where they went wrong for raising me as a kid. And so with stars in my eyes, I looked up their name on YouTube and I was backhanded with a cold reality like I was a shitty housewife. It seems, unfortunately, that Roosterteeth has just jumped off a cliff in terms of viewership and online support. And today I want to talk about that because I don't think, from the videos I've seen online at least, there's not enough neutral people in the situation. I mean, the YouTuber Ludwig made a video on it a while ago on the company, but it was more so focused around allegations that the company had against employee work stuff. But most of the videos I see about Roosterteeth are from a group of people that just want to see Roosterteeth go to hell for existing. So I've really wanted to talk about Roosterteeth and how they are as a whole, because like I said, they were a huge part of my childhood. And in fact, in that closet back there, I probably still have my Achievement Hunter beanie that I ordered when I was like, fuck, I don't know, maybe like 47. So where did Roosterteeth go wrong? Where did this downfall really start? Well, a lot of people credit it to their controversies. That controversy that they had with their Achievement Hunter guy, Ryan Haywood, or that other guy that I can't remember the name of that was in Funhouse. I think his name was Adam Kovic. If you don't know the controversies that I'm talking about with Ryan Haywood and Adam Kovic, basically, what happened with Ryan is that he would have sex with underage fans. He would stay at their conventions that they would host a day late, and he would call them to his hotel room, and just really, really disturbing, gross stuff. And obviously you can't support someone like that. So he was promptly booted from the company, and you could really see that it crushed the members of Achievement Hunter, and honestly, it just shook the company. Adam Kovic, I'm assuming it's the right name. I'm really hoping it is because I want to make sure I'm talking about the right guy. But Adam Kovic did something still kind of weird. Well, not still kind of weird. It was weird, but he, I believe, sent pictures of himself and his wife having sex to a fan or someone he was hooking up with or something like that. And he took pics of him just whipping his cock out on the desk in the Funhouse office. Anyway, just weird shit that you would not want anywhere near an office setting. Anyway, a lot of people blame those two people for the downfall of Roosterteeth, being the start of the downfall of everything. But I honestly just think that it was the cherry on top for their decline, and it kind of was just the perfect recipe for making the decline go from this down to that, you know? One of the issues that they're having currently right now is something that I think everybody kind of knew would be a problem eventually for the company. I even saw forum posts about people talking about this in 2016, and that issue is their show well has run dry. If you've watched the show The Walking Dead, that's been going on for like 11 seasons now, you'll understand why it's not a great thing to have a show running for so long. Roosterteeth is kind of facing that now, in fact, where both of their heavy hitters, Red vs. Blue and Ruby, are both coming to an end, but they've both been going on for so long. For example, Ruby is going on to its 10th season, I think now, and Red vs. Blue is on season 18. So they've been going for an extremely long time. That's a really long time for a show to exist, and especially with the Roosterteeth general manager coming out after canceling their convention event that they host every year, saying that they're hemorrhaging money, the company is losing tons and tons of money. I think there's the potential that they might not even finish those shows. I mean, they've talked about finishing Red vs. Blue off with the final season this year, but I don't even know if they'll end up making it to that point. But for the time being, they have relied on Ruby and Red vs. Blue as shows that they can constantly fall back on. Now, obviously, they've produced other shows and made other content. They made a ton of stuff out there, but none of them are as sustainable and as heavy hitting as Ruby or Red vs. Blue was. I think they started to run into the issue that most shows end up running into if they've been going on for too long, and that is kind of the audience just simmering down as the seasons go on. And since Rooster Teeth really only has these two shows to rely on, with both those wells going dry at the same time, I imagine that would likely be catastrophic for the company. And because of how far they've expanded themselves, they're gonna run into issues with overstaffing. They're gonna have probably more layoffs with both those shows ending. It's not going to be good. But speaking aside from the show side of things, I think one of the daggers in the heart that Rooster Teeth really did to its audience is that with all its internet content shows, were like podcasts or gaming videos or really anything like that, they ended up swapping the majority of their original cast with completely new members. Now, don't get me wrong, there is probably nothing wrong with the new cast members. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they're fantastic people making amazing content. But the problem is the Rooster Teeth audience has built their connection off all the original cast members. I know tons of people that have watched their content for many, many, many years, like even decades for some of them. And you know, I even remember watching them 10 years ago, which is mind-boggling to say. But to put it into perspective, imagine your favorite YouTuber, all right? You've been watching them for years. You're a huge, huge fan of their content. And then all of a sudden, one day, they're saying that they're going to be leaving the channel, but don't worry, they're going to be putting it in the hands of someone else. Obviously, you're not going to have the same incentive to watch their content. You're not going to feel the same connection to that new person. Even if it's the same content, the personalities are different. And as an audience member of all sorts of online content myself, I would genuinely not enjoy content if my host or whatever I was watching was swapped out with somebody else. I think Rooster Teeth really thought that they could just switch out their current cast members and keep the whole monetary gain train going with new cast members, and that the audience members would just eat that up. But clearly that's not the case. I don't know, I just kind of get the vibe when I check out their old channels that it's just kind of feels like a hollow shell of a company trying to make as much algorithm friendly content as they possibly can. And obviously that sucks. As an audience member, that sucks. I feel like that's probably what's alienated a ton of their audience members. And if you look at the views of some of their recent works, the views pretty much confirm it. It's gotten so bad and it's absolutely insane that a nobody like me has some videos that have performed better than some of their videos. Like, that should never happen. What's really pushed home the fact for me that the original cast was so important is that if you go check out any of the members who have left, if you check out their Twitch channels or whatever individual thing they're doing now, they're doing pretty well. They have an audience, they have people watching them. Some of them even have more views than any of the Rooster Teeth videos, for a matter of fact. And even the shows that Rooster Teeth does produce, where they have the original members in some of the content, that content does drastically better than any of the other content that Rooster Teeth produces with new cast members. I could go more into depth about what I think they did wrong as an audience member and even as a content creator, but that stuff is probably super boring to you guys, and if I haven't bored you to sleep already, I'm gonna continue talking about something else. Now, what do I think is in Rooster Teeth's future? Well, I honestly think that it's really hard to say. As tough as it is, I really do think that they're gonna end up shutting down very soon, or maybe not very soon, but soon, maybe in the next 5 years or something like that. And obviously I don't want that. They are a huge part of my childhood and they were a huge inspiration to me growing up, and they're a big part as to why I have this YouTube channel now. Originally I thought they were going to downsize some more after the initial layoffs and just kind of reboot the company that way, because I honestly do think if they reformatted, redid, and tweaked a few things, I do think they could rebuild. But with the amount of content they're producing and with how wide their cast is, they're obviously not gonna do that. And I do think that's a mistake. I think they've kind of reached the mentality of quantity over quality. And unfortunately, they're probably gonna end up running the company that way until they have their viewership fade out completely and they no longer are making any money. I do think it's really sad that an integral part of so many people's childhood have just ended this way, or is going to end this way. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, the reality of it is that these things don't last forever. That's just life in general, man. You want some philosophical lessons from the Tibor YouTube channel? Everything is not permanent. In all honesty though, this video has been a really nice nostalgia trip from me. In fact, even though it's so sad to see the company fall this far from grace, it was still nice to revisit my childhood and some of the people that have helped me get my start as a content creator. This is a little personal side of me, but while I was making this video, I ended up discovering a document that I made 5 years ago, and it was 60 pages long, and it was talking about how I wanted to create my very own Roosterteeth one day. And you know, I don't know if that's gonna happen. Maybe one day, fellas. Anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll see you guys around.